Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to math. Today, we're going to be covering cones. Okay. There are a few different types of cones. We're going to cover the very basic one, which is a right cone. Okay. A right cone always has the vertex lines up with the center. Okay. That is why it's called a right. Okay. Cone. So for our objective for today is, okay, the objective is to find the surface and lateral area of a cone, okay? Remember, last class we covered cylinders, I'll say spheres, that's our next one. Last class we covered spheres, okay? We cover lateral and surface area. We also cover volume, okay? So hint, guys. Today we're going to cover lateral and surface area for this cone. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of heads up for next class. Guess what are we covering next class with this cone? The volume, okay? Just a little heads up. All right, so a cone is labeled the following way, okay? You have a right cone. If you guys need a few minutes to copy it down, pause the video. All right, now that we have our cone, okay, and how it works. Notice that we have our base, which is where it sits, okay, the bottom, okay. We have our radius, which is part of a circle, okay, from center to the edge is the radius. We have what is known, not really height, okay, but we know it is called as altitude, okay, which is from the center to the vertex, okay, from the center of the bottom to the vertex. It's called the altitude, okay. We do have kind of a height, which again is slanted height, which is the side here, okay, it's slanted. Notice how it goes sideways. Slanted height, okay. All right, now that we know the very basics of it, we can actually start writing our equations, okay. Again, the equation for a cone, okay, has the same principles as the one for a cylinder, okay. You have the lateral part first, which is lateral area equals, okay, pi r slanted, okay. Remember, the little fancy little L, it's slanted height. For surface area, we have the same one, which is pi r slanted, plus, something's wrong with this marker, here we go, plus pi r squared, okay. That's the only difference. Again, the same with the cylinder. Remember, we had lateral, and then the direction piece. So once you solve for lateral, technically you already solved for part of the surface area, okay? I will say this, when it comes to a cone, if you really look at this cone, okay, if you make a line from the radius up is your altitude, okay, then you combine your radius as well, okay, doesn't that kind of looks like a here we go. Doesn't that kind of look like a right triangle? It does, right? Therefore, it's a right cone because it makes a right triangle in one corner. Okay? So, in order to find lateral area on this cone, okay, keep in mind, lateral was this piece here. When we label our cone, okay, in this case, to find the lateral area, or slanted height, should I say, we use what is known as the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, c is always your hypotenuse. In this case, your c on the cone is your slanted height. Okay. Now that we know all the basic rules, if I have a cone, let me erase a little corner there. All right, if you have our cone, it tells us that on this cone, use another color, we have a radius of 6. Okay, 6 centimeters. Okay, we have a height, or in this case, we have an altitude of 8 centimeters. Okay, so we have an altitude of 8 centimeters, a radius of 6 centimeters. Again, keep in mind, guys, doesn't that radius and the altitude create a right triangle here? Therefore, this is your slanted, instead of writing the whole thing, I'm just going to say your slanted height. Okay? So again, now that we have this, we can actually, using the Pythagorean theorem, we can actually solve for our slanted height to plug it in for L. Okay? For this fancy L. So we can say a squared, which in this case, it really doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B. I will say this, guys. It always matters which one's C. C is always across from your 90-degree angle. Notice that it creates a 90-degree angle here. Across from the 90-degree angle is always your C. Okay? So I'm going to say 6 squared plus A squared equals C squared. 6 and 6, or 6 times 6, because we're squared, is 36, plus 8 times 8 is 64, equals C squared. Then we combine, since they're like terms, 36 and 64 is 100, equals C squared. In order to get rid of a square, guys, the opposite is a radical, okay? So we do radical, radical cancels out, the square and the radical and the C, that was our point, okay? So you have C equals radical of 100, which C equals 10, because radical of 100 has a perfect square root, which in this case is 10. Hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, radical of 100. All right, now that we have our C, which is 10, okay, we can actually plug it into the equation. So we have LA equals pi over R, which is 6, times L, which is 10. 6 times 10 is 60. Pi, which LA equals 60 times pi. Again, if you don't know what pi is, it's 3.14 in case your calculator doesn't have pi. But mine luckily does. So we're going to say 60 times pi equals 188.49. Okay, we're going to round it. We only need one number after the decimal. So it's going to combine to 188.5. Okay, so we found lateral area. So at 188.5 centimeters squared. Now that we found one of our answers, okay, again, we can literally solve the next one, right? So we have already a part of it solved, which is surface area equals 188.5 plus pi r, which r is our radius, which is 6, right? 6 squared So surface area equals 188.5 plus 6 times 6 is 36 pi, okay? You can do it one of two ways. You can either solve for 36 pi or just plug it in completely on the calculator. With surface area equals, I'm going to plug it in completely, 188.5 plus 36 pi equals 301.59. Again, we only need one after decimal point. So surface area becomes 301.6 centimeters squared. Why square? Because remember, anything that has to do with area has to be squared. Okay? All right. Make sure you write it down. Let's do one more just to get the hang of it. Let me throw a little bit of water there. All right, so our next one is, I'm not gonna draw it in there. I'm just gonna give you all your key ingredients, okay? All we're gonna need is, we have a radius of 9, an altitude of 12, okay? It is all centimeters, okay? That's all we really need, okay? Remember, our area or lateral area equation is lateral area equals, you guys remember? Pi r, or let me do it all together in there since it's all numbers. Pi r slanted, okay? And then surface area is pi r slanted plus pi r squared, okay? Again, our first piece, since we don't have our slanted, again, we have to use Pythagorean Theorem. So we have a squared, which in this case is 9 squared, plus 12 squared equals c squared, which is our slanted. 9 times 9 is 81, plus 144 equals c squared, which 81 plus 144 is right in here. 81 plus 144 equals 225. So 225 equals c squared. Again, in order to get rid of the square, we have to radical it. So c equals radical of 225, which c equals, shift, let's see if we have a perfect square root, which we hope we do, which is 15. Okay, so c equals 15. So our slanted height equals 15 centimeters. Okay, now that we have all our information, we can say LA equals, I'm going to put the radius first. I'm the kind of guy that always likes to put the pi at the end. Okay, so we're going to do 15, or in this case, the radius first, which is 9 times 15 times pi. Okay, LA equals, or lateral area, equals 9 times 15, which I don't know on top of my head. So 9 times 15 equals 135 pi. So 135 times pi equals, so the lateral area equals 424.1, because the next number is also a 1, so it keeps it as 1, centimeters squared. Okay? And we're done with the first part. All right, now that we have the first part done, we literally already have part of surface area done. Which means that surface area equals the answer we got for lateral area, which is 424.1 plus radius squared, which radius was 9 squared pi. So surface area equals 424.1 plus 81 pi, because 9 times 9 is 81. And then we plug it into the calculator. So the surface area equals 424.1 plus 81 pi, which we come out with the surface area is 678.56. Okay? Since the 6 is bigger than 5, makes the 5 a 6. Okay? Centimeters squared. And we are done. That's it. Okay? Remember, you have to find lateral height first, or should I say slanted height, okay, using Pythagorean Theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then you plug it in for your lateral area. Once you solve lateral area, we solve for surface area, which our objective was to solve for a cone's lateral area and surface area, okay? All right, guys, make sure you copy it all down. All right, your assignment for today is, again, I'm not gonna really draw the cones, okay? I'm only gonna give you your key information. So for the first one, we have a radius of 5, altitude of 30, okay? This is all feet. We have another one with, let's go with the radius of 6 centimeters and the altitude of 18 centimeters, okay? And for the final one, okay? Let's use another color here. Let's use the blue. For our final one, okay? I want to see how much you guys think outside the box, okay, for this one. Your radius, we do not know. We have to find it, okay? Our altitude is 12. Our slanted height is 13, okay? Let's go with yards. All right, let's see if you guys can figure out that third one. I'm very curious to see if you guys can figure that one out. Okay. All right, guys, so make sure you submit your answers as soon as you're done watching the video, and I'll be here waiting for your email.